What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the fighting game tutorial series. In today's episode we're going to be going over improving our game mode BP. So recently we've been going through the series and improving everything up to this point that we've created, because we've created a lot of episodes and we've made a lot of content, but at this point we're getting into more complex things like online multiplayer with rollback netcode, AI, story mode. And these really complex things require a lot of thought, so I want to make sure we are as efficient as we can be in the other spots of our code, and it is cleaned up so that it is as easy to work with as possible, so we don't have to go back and rework a lot of it. And so for those of you that have been following the series, we've been improving a lot of things lately, like our character, our widgets, our blueprints, and now we're going to be moving on to the game mode BP. In the game mode itself. So we're going to be basically converting a lot of blueprint logic from the game mode into our code class and also improving it while we do that. We're not going to convert all of our logic, but we will convert a lot of it, and we will improve it anywhere we can. So before we hop into another cleanup and organization episode, if you'd like to get caught up in the series, I can link you to the entire fighting game tutorial series right here in the top right corner. That will show you how we've done everything from our special attacks, our game mode itself, some online multiplayer behavior, and a lot more. Alternatively, if you don't care about all that and you just care about game mode improvements and game flow and organization in your game, I recommend you check out this episode in the top right corner right here. This is how we did some match flow behavior, which is in our game mode, and we're going to be directly touching that stuff today and cleaning it up, so it's good for you to have a reference for what we started with so that you can see why what we're doing here is better. So if you're interested, I'll link that right here in the top right corner as well. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series. As I said, we're going to be converting things from blueprint to code and cleaning things up, so we will be working in both today. So starting out, the first place we want to go is into our game mode blueprint. So for me, that's in blueprints, functional BPs, game modes, and default game mode BP. We're going to go into default game mode BP. There is quite a lot of behavior. We're going to be skipping a lot of it today, but there are two ones I want to focus on right away because it's been bothering me for a bit. That is round start and round end. These are very simple functions that we can use in code, and putting them in blueprint is only slowing us down. Another one is right below this. We have an event trigger match win effects, and all it's doing right now is taking a winning character in case we want to display anything for that character, which we don't right now. Making sure it's valid, and then setting the global time dilation to a slow value so that it's more dramatic. We have a delay in here which will convert to a timer, but we wait 0.5 seconds. Then we reset the global time dilation to default. This is another one that we can easily convert to code. Now we could have more effects that we want to handle in blueprint or trigger in blueprint, but this I think should be a function of itself, and then if we needed to do anything in the blueprint game mode side of things, we could call a separate function to just do those. This is a very simple conversion to code. A lot of these functions can easily be converted as well, such as spawn players, determine character class, determine match winner, and determine force palette adjust. All of these could very simply be code functions. So we're just going to go through these today and knock them out so that the game mode is a lot cleaner and more efficient. First things first, let's start with round start. So we're going to make a function in code that mimics this behavior, and what it's going to do is set our timer to be active because the round has started, so the timer should be ticking. It is going to set the active character on each team to be able to attack because they can move before this point, but when the round hasn't started yet, they can't attack each other. So we have to enable them to be able to attack, and we're going to set the match state to match active. This just allows us to tell where we are and what we can do in our game based on this state. Next one here is round end, and it's going to do the opposite of round start. We're going to set the timer active to false because the round has ended. It's no longer ticking. Since the round has ended, neither of the characters on either team can attack, so set those to false. We're playing a sound effect here, which we can still do. It might be a better place to do that. So we could move it, or we can keep it just for today's episode and move it later if we want. It doesn't really hurt anything, but just keep that in mind. Then we're going to set the match state to round over because that's the point we're at right now. Now for trigger match win effects, I already explained what this does earlier, so we can go ahead and convert it to code now. We can go to our game mode classes, which are fighter template gamemode.cpp and fighter template gamemode.h. So in fighter template gamemode.h, we can go in here and make new functions. So if we scroll down, we have some round functions around here. We have round 1, match 1, round draw, I'm going to go above round 1 and make new functions. This one is going to be start round, so the round has started. It's going to be U function, blueprint callable, if we want to be able to call it from blueprint, which is fine right now, because we actually do, and void round start. There are no parameters in it or anything like that, so we don't have to worry. Just note that if you have two functions with the same name, like this one in the code and then one in the blueprints, in related classes, we will get an error, so we could call this start round instead. And something like that will do the trick. End the round. I'll do U function, blueprint callable, and void end round. So I just switched the names around here so there's no naming conflict. Feel free to just go in and remove those events in the blueprint, and then your code one will compile. Or you can build with this, and all that'll happen is you'll have errors in your game mode and you'll have to replace those functions. But I think it's easier to start it with a different name. If anything, we can rename these functions later, because renaming the code functions is super simple. Then we can go into our fighter template game mode and go to where we want to create these. I will go above round 1, which is right here. Void a fighter template game mode, start round. And then void a fighter template game mode, end round. Now, remember, start round is super easy. All we're doing is setting the timer to be active at this point, because we can start ticking. So is timer active equals true. Is timer active is a variable in our code class for our game mode, so we have access to it here. Then we also have access to the active team 1 and active team 2 characters, which are the characters that are currently in play from the game mode. And we want to set can attack on them. Now, we don't actually have a setter or a mutator for these, so we could manually grab can attack and set it to be true if this was a public variable, but it actually would be better to just make a setter for these and set it. So to do that, we can go into fighter template character.h and scroll down to where our setters and getters are. You'll see that we have them all the way at the bottom in this public section here. So we can come in here anywhere we want, really. And we'll say set the character's ability to attack. Void set can attack. And we're setting a bool, so bool can attack. I also want to organize this section a little bit. This is in the character, not the game mode, but I do like to typically keep these in a specific order. So I like to have my getters followed by the setter. So like, for example, we have set health here, but get health is here. Even though the actual order doesn't matter for this, I do think it's cleaner. So I'm going to have get health, then set health, and then we'll have get max health below those. Set super meter here is fine. Get is facing right is fine. Get combo state by set combo state. Get character class, set character state, set can attack. So I think this looks better. Additionally, we have this rotate toward opponent 3D, which is from our 3D fighter. And it's not really doing anything wrong by being in this section, but there's no reason for it to be a public function. So I'm also going to move this out into our private or protected function section. I'm going to put it next to our other 3D movement ones, since these are specific to the 3D series. That wasn't hurting anything, it just didn't need to be there, and I want to keep this clean for us. So there we go, we have set can attack now. Now we could inline this function if we want, or we could go into the CPP file. Inlining it just means we can fill the function out right here. So with our curly braces here, we can say can attack, which is referencing the character's can attack variable, equals can attack with the underscore in the front. Put our semicolon inside the curly braces, and now our setter is inlined. Since it's a small function, we don't need to do it in the CPP file if we don't want to. This just allows us to save some space and also write it quickly and easily. Feel free to go into the CPP and make this function just like you normally would. Regardless, though, we have set can attack. So if we go back to fighter template game mode.cpp start round, we can now call set can attack. And since the round has started, we're going to be passing in true. We want to do this for active team 2 character as well. Then after that, we were just setting the match state. We were technically using a blueprint function library function. We don't just have a set match state that we can use here, but we're in the game mode, so we can simply set the match state in here. That's perfectly valid. We don't need to call a function to access that. So doing it in the game mode BP like that wasn't even necessary either. So here we are, match state equals match state, : and match active is what we were setting it to. So now start round has been converted. Time to convert end round. So this one is going to be super quick because we're just doing the opposite, right? We're ending the round, so isTimerActive is false. We don't want either character on either team to be able to attack. So active team 1 character set can attack to be false, and we want to do this for active team 2 character as well. And we also want to set the match state to be match state : E_round over. And these functions have been perfectly converted. We'll need to swap out the references, but otherwise we're good to go. So if we go back into the blueprint, now if we go back into our game mode BP, we have our two events here, round start and round end. We can completely replace them. So feel free to select all the logic in round start, including the event, and just delete it. And this blueprint should compile fine. However, there will be some other issues where we're trying to call it. So if we try to run, we will get some errors. I'm going to open all the erroring blueprints. It is the base character BP and the base character HUD widget. So if we go to each of these, I'll start with my HUD and compile. We will get our errors. And we can click on them to go to the logic that is erroring. So we had this event here where we are starting a round, so we were calling round start, but now we want to replace that with start round, and it is a function in our code game mode, so we can just simply do this, just drag off of this game mode reference and call start round. Then we have another case up here. This is for the first round when we're starting a match. Since the flow is a little bit different, we were still calling round start in here, and so now we want to update this to be start round as well. This is it for our HUD, so we can go over to our base character BP, which is the other blueprint that has the error. In here we have an event where we're notifying the game mode to trigger the round start logic. Where we just remove the old function or event and use our new code function or event. But we were intentionally using our game mode reference, which was a reference to our code class, and casting it to our blueprint version of the game mode so that we could grab that event. Since these functions now reside in code, we also don't need the cast, so we can remove that. And at this point, I'm going to just also make it is valid, so we check for validity before calling this function. That way we avoid crashes and errors in the future. So right-click on the variable and convert it to a validated get. Now, we can do the same thing for our end round or round end logic. So if we go to our game mode BP again and go to round end, we have our event here. We can now remove all of these nodes as well. And same deal, make sure you compile and save, and then check for any errors in any other blueprints. This time it is just in our base character BP, so we can go to there. And you'll see it is the logic we had just below where we were, so it is the notify round end, and we want to do the same behavior as we did for notify round start. But this time we're going to be calling end round instead of start round. Also convert this to a validated get just to be on the safe side. The blueprint event tick, trigger match win effects, and a lot of the functions will be improved in the next few episodes of advanced game mode improvements and cleanup. Another thing that we should do so that we don't lose this logic and this conversion is make sure that we are playing the sound effect that we initially were. We don't want to lose that logic. Doing it after calling end round is perfectly fine. So I'm going to drag off of here and just type custom play sound 2D, and the sound effect we were using was knockout. If this video helps you clean up your game mode BP and you're still working on cleaning up the rest of your project, then please subscribe. It does a lot for myself and the channel, and I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube membership, Patreon members, and Discord subscribers. You guys are fantastic, and I'm so grateful that you're enjoying this series. As I am also enjoying the series, it is super fun to work on. If you ran into any problems while cleaning up your game mode blueprint or your game mode in general, feel free to join the Discord community. There is a link in the description, and I'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.